Hello, everyone, and welcome to the post-race discussion of Season 3 of the TheLoggBox F1. Cue music.
It's time for the bucket gentlemen.
Play ball.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Hey! Woo! Excellent.
Okay.
So, here we are. Second post-race discussion, and we have the winner of the second race with us today, which is fantastic. So, I think without further ado, let's get the results in, and we'll discuss with the winner how he felt his race went. So, we'll start with quali. So we had a bit of a mare.
A bit of surprise.
Yes. So we were racing at Azerbaijan, this one, the Baku circuit, and before this race, everyone was banging around doing time trials and everything, doing it in the dry, no issues, fully expecting it to be a nice dry day, and qualifying rocks up, and it was absolutely hammering it down.
I think average rainfall in Azerbaijan is about 0.0 millimeters a year.
That was the full year we had.
All of that exactly in one quali race.
We did. Nobody had done any practice in wet, so it was a bit of see how you go as the session went on. So session was good to start with, and then unfortunately about halfway through I got disconnected. So I was stuck with whatever time I'd had. So while the others managed to bang round and finish the session. So I'll just give you a brief rundown of where we finished in quali. So on pole position was cruelbrit Richard Purvis. Well done in his Williams.
No points for that though.
No points for that. Second was our probably best listener, Joe. Fuzzy Felt in his Alpha Tauri. Third was Jacko Menackerman, Dan Jackson in his Red Bull. Fourth was Richard Rogers, Tumshie in his Alpine. Yours truly managed to hold on to fifth in the Haas. I've forgotten what car I was in.
I did forget. I was looking because it rear-ended me a number of times, but carry on.
Yeah, well, we'll go into that, Rich. Don't worry. And then sixth was Dave Packer, man in the men US, in his Ferrari. Solid indeed. Ninth was Brian, my tainted brain, in his Mercedes, all the way from Japan. Again, race 2 in a row. Fantastic effort from Brian. And in 15th was Serena in her Ferrari. So wet quali, and then the race was dry. But because of my issue with a disconnect, everybody was very kind and backed out. We set up a brand new session just for the race.
And don't we regret that?
And don't we regret that. So did a custom grid, put everyone where they'd qualified, and then we were off. So it was a 26 lap race, and at the end of those 26 laps, the final standings, top of the podium, as said earlier, was Richard Rogers, Tumshie.
Congratulations.
And he joins us. Congratulations, Rich. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Second was myself in the Haas. Jacko was third in his Red Bull. Rich Cruelbrit was fourth in his Williams. Dave, the man in the men US, was fifth in his Ferrari. Joe Fuzzy Felt was sixth in his Alpha Tauri. And Brian was seventh in his Mercedes, my tainted brain. And then in 19th was Serena in her Ferrari. So yeah, that was it. That was how it went. It was an eventful race, I'd say. Yeah, I think personally, I think we should probably go straight over to Tumshie, Mr. Rogers, and see how he felt it went.
Well, yeah, the surprise of the qualification being wet set me off because I've been practicing a lot for this one. Actually, I'd sort of it's a track I like, so just entirely practicing in the dry and then suddenly to go out with all the puddles, it was next to impossible to pull a lap off without hitting the sides.
Where were you in your practice then, Rich? Where in the practice league in the time trials?
Oh, I don't think I was super high. I couldn't compete with the odd time that you'd done in the McLaren. That's for sure.
So I think if you base it solely on the cars we were using for the race, you were top.
Yeah. Oh, right. So
you were quicker because you were a tenth or two quicker than I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had the spoils in the practice time trials. So it was so the form was there and the form carried through.
What do you like about the track then compared to the Netherlands or?
Well, that's a difficult because I like the Netherlands is a sort of roller coaster of a track, a nice one. Whereas the street circuits, there's something I really like about any of the street circuits. To be honest, I'm more used to driving those than a really fast track like say the British. What's the British track?
Silverstone.
Oh, the famous one, yeah.
Yeah, something like that I struggle with, a really where you're just doing all those fast corners. I prefer something that really slows you down. That's my kind of track. But yeah, it's in the wet though. I don't think there's much to enjoy with that. It's a survival. I mean, just trying to make it up by the hill up by the castle. Trying to make it up that in the wet was just sort of
I mean, quite honestly, a wet race would have suited me. I was feeling quite comfortable. If I think I got out for a third, I think it was difficult because it's a very long track, isn't it? It's 2 minutes in the wet. It's 1 minute 40, 1 minute 35 in the dry. That is 30 seconds longer than most other laps, see? But if I'd managed to get out for a third on the quali, I think I could have done sub 2 minutes on that. And I was feeling quite comfortable. And I think that may be the only way I could have mitigated some of that nonsense on those faster cars on that straight. I knew that would be a nightmare. How was the Alpine on the straight? Were you getting caught, or did you have enough top end?
It seemed sort of very medium. It feels like a slightly boring car. Actually, it doesn't seem to excel in any. But it's just sort of. Didn't feel too different because I was driving the McLaren a bit. I think
in Spain.
Before we'd chosen cars, it didn't feel massively different.
No, I think the Alpine's quicker in a straight line, and the McLaren's probably slightly better around the corners at the start. But yeah, they're very, very similar, those two. Any
particular part of the track, Tumshie, that you had to concentrate on? Is it that S bend? What about that fast S bend at the end?
It's really up. There's the two S bands. So I forget what number is the first one. God knows. It's the wider one. I always overcook it going too fast. Always. I don't seem to ever actually quite get that one right. Then there's the second end up by the castle, which is definitely my favourite. I just love. You can just sort of throw the accelerator on all the way up the hill and nearly spin out at the top and then brake.
Don't you find that left-hand turn don't you get your position wrong after that? I can't. That's where I struggle, especially if the tyres are going.
You have to slam on a lot at the top.
Having the confidence to put on the acceleration around that last corner. Yeah, you were out in front. How did it go? So you got from fourth. I mean, I had an absolute nightmare start. Complete nightmare. I've never done it before.
I watched that. Yeah, it was.
What happened?
It was it was a stall. It was a releasing the button too early before the lights, and that's all that happens.
Right.
It stalls you then. So that's you. I think I. No, actually, if I release it before the lights, that's a full start, isn't it? So I think what happened in the heat of the moment is that I was trying to keep the revs down low, but what happens then if you go too low, it goes into neutral. So you have to be above 5,000 revs, and it's quite difficult to stay. But the only way I can get away fast is to get sort of 5,000-6,000 revs very light and then hit through it rather than gun it, because the car just spins out for me. But I was too low, so I started in neutral, so it just dropped below. So that was a nightmare. But I everyone passed me, but I managed to bully on that first corner. So I got into fifth, into sixth or seventh on that first corner, and that wasn't too bad because it could have been a nightmare. But that must have given you a chance to get away though, Tumshie. Did you manage to get a place?
It was close because I didn't get the best of starts, sort of a medium start, but it meant that I sort of watched that happening to you and all the cars behind you and the cars behind me trying to edge their way onto my part of the track, but I managed to sort of speed it away and come away unscathed from that. And through the first corner, I was fine as well. I think I made it around there okay, which is a surprise. I thought this is just going to go, it has that sort of calamitous sort of feel to it.
Last year was horrendous.
Yeah. And then, I think. Now, I'm trying to remember my position when I was setting off. I think I was second, wasn't I? By the end
you
of
were second. You were chasing Fuzzy down.
Yeah, chasing with Jacko behind me in the Red Bull, who haunted me for the first probably about 5 or 6 laps with interesting braking techniques. But
yeah. So Jacko was ahead of you, were you? You were chasing down for the start of it, because I know it was 2 people racing. I was just in full focus mode trying to get up.
Yeah, I think Jacko lost it on a corner. He sort of went straight past me on a corner, and then was sort of, I think on the first lap actually, and then was behind me. So all the way through.
I'm going to class Jacko as, it feels like when you're in a race with Jacko and he's in that Red Bull and I was in the Williams or in any other car, you're facing a drunk Max Verstappen. Is basically it is. He's like hyper quick and he can absolutely nail you on the straights and round the corners, but he's a drunk Max.
It was scary because this is the first race where I figured out the settings for putting the rear view mirror on. Which is like which in a car would be the one on the window, and which is a strange feeling in a Formula One car. But it meant I could see what was going on, which is actually not necessarily always a help when it's like it's Red Bull. So suddenly is like sort of very large in your mirror. It's not necessarily, it's probably better to be ignorant to it, really, to be honest. But so I might switch it back.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't even noticed that setting. It feels like, so what does it do? It puts up a false kind of
a great big wing mirror. Yeah, a great big rear view mirror
in the car or above on the screen, or what is it?
It'd be very hard to explain because I'm outside the car.
Oh, you're one of those freaks.
So I suppose imagine it's on a selfie stick or something, and it's.
I didn't realise so many people change their views to the outside of the car view. That's it. I'm TV.
Well, I'm on the, what do you call it? TV.
Oh, you are on TV.
Yeah. That's
right. Okay. So it's hanging in the air. Yeah. Fair enough.
But so once moving on from there. Let's think. I'm trying to remember now.
What happened to what we brought up Fuzzy because I thought you were doing. I mean, we've got to talk about what happened to Fuzzy. I mean, I think he was close to a rage quit. But can anyone remember what happened?
Yeah. So, with Fuzzy, wasn't it that his kids came into the room?
No, that was Jacko.
Was it Jacko? I'm getting mixed up.
Fuzzy had no excuse for his failure.
I'm struggling to remember. I'm getting mixed up.
So I think Fuzzy made a couple of mistakes, and then on the the last quick chicane as you're coming onto the long straight, he binned it. And at that point, I'd started to catch those three up. He'd binned it, and because he was in the middle of the track as I came around that last corner, I just ploughed into the side of him, and that, because of where he was, it gave him a drive-through penalty. And that was his race over then.
So what is a 10-second or something, because he went straight into the pits then, because I think he was close to his pit window and he just wanted to serve it. So the rest of the race he battled with Dave, didn't he? And I don't think he ever managed to get that place back from Dave then.
No, he did his drive-through penalty, so he drove through the pits without being serviced because he had to, and then when he came out on the next corner, he binned it again straight away.
That's easy to do out of the pits. I did that on quali, and I did that on I did that on the pit coming out on my pit lane. It's really surprising. It just the automatic throws you out there, and you've got to put it on. But I think Dave did well. Honourable mention for Dave holding fifth. That was pretty. That was pretty good.
He did well, very well.
So I think he went up a place from his quali place, so that's good.
Yeah, I've noticed in the first two races he hasn't been expressing himself much. To put it, it in a nice. He was not impressed last time, but he's mellowed out with it, which is really good, and it's obviously working wonders with his driving.
I think not knowing the track.
Putting the practice
not
in.
knowing the track is the big issue. So that was that. Brian, we have to give an honourable mention to Brian for turning up with a stinking hangover, 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Dedication, that is.
So James, your race, that Haas, I've got question marks over that Haas. That Haas is suspiciously fast.
Yeah, well, because it's got a Ferrari engine, it's quick down the straight. So I was
me up, yeah.
So I was in setup 4, as most people were, and I without DRS, I was probably about 5-6 miles an hour quicker than you could go, Rich, and then with DRS, I was up at almost 210 at the end of the straight.
Yeah, the Williams won't tick up. I think 202 was the fastest I could get that car down that straight, and that was with putting the DRS on just as you come out the last right hand, the last left hander, the 90-degree left hander to hit the straightish. So that was gunning it with full gas. And down that straight with ERS, if you hold it on all the way, is about 60 to 70% of your battery just to get it on there. So there wasn't much point in once you get to 202, and then as soon as I take it off, it drops down to 197 as the top end. And I spent a lot of that race with Jacko just either coming round the corner behind him and just watch him go into distance, or just watching him just fly by like I was going backwards.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think my race came a cropper right at pretty much at the first corner. Obviously, Jacko had to take evasive action behind you because you didn't get away. I then had to take evasive action. I went the other way. I went off the track to get around you, past Jacko off the track. So I had to give that place back. Gave that place back, and then as I was braking for the first corner, somebody behind me just didn't brake and ploughed into me at the back, span me round, put me at a weird angle, which meant that I blocked the track, which meant that I got a 5-second penalty for holding somebody up, basically. And then I was fighting that penalty all the time. And then I was chasing down Brian. I got too close to him, missed my braking point, and ploughed up the inside straight into the side of Perez. Got a 3-second penalty for that.
And you came in second in the end, though.
I did, yes. Yeah. I was. I think that's more other people than my driving. I think I got the fastest lap. I was driving fairly well, but I think it's had Jacko not had a penalty, had Fuzzy not made the mistakes, and Jacko span as well, and if buts and buttercups, as they say. But
Tumshie, you were out. You're out ahead then by lap 15. Then were you? I think you finished 18 seconds ahead of the pack of everyone else. So when did you leave everyone behind, and when were you clear?
Yeah, I'd say sort of once I got the medium tyres on, so that's actually sort of the last sort of third of the race. I felt like I was pretty much, once the all the pit stops have sorted themselves through, I felt like I was away then. And then it's just sort of managing tyres, really, and not being, I was a little bit tempted to have a go for the fastest lap and stuff. But I think with people putting on soft tyres.
For that extra point. Well, that's a good point. I mean, I had to do something. I had to try and do something. So I tried to push those hards to lap 19. And that was okay, actually. The hards were holding up and they were at 50%. So I wasn't losing much time to Jacko on most of the corners. So I thought if I could stick those softs on, and I really thought they might last 8 laps, but just word to the wise, they don't. Last year, I think I could have put those softs on and easily have nailed through, because people were doing 11, 12 laps on softs, which is way over what they should be doing. And I don't think the game took that into account. Now that game punishes. I think what it does, it takes into account you're doing a 50% race and then assesses it against the tyres, whereas I'm not sure it was like that last year. Whereas softs would do 16 laps, so if you're only doing a half race, it would let you do half the race on softs, and that was a bit of a fucker, basically. So even with those softs and doing a reasonably good lap, I was still 0.03 of a second off your fastest there, James. Whether or not that was my driving or not, I don't know, but it certainly didn't feel like I had a massive boost medium to softs. So,
but yeah, it was a good race. It was eventful. Yeah. Massive congratulations to you, Mr. Tumshie, for winning, coming out on top.
Yeah.
So we're running Mexico next time. That will be next week.
We are.
Yeah.
So Mexico is next.
Is that a track you know well at all?
No, I can't even remember us racing that one. I did a quick lap there just before we came on, and it just seems to be lots and lots of corners. I just haven't got a radar for finding my way around that one. But it must have been one of the ones from the last year where I didn't really practice for it before, because I just did the race and probably survived that. So I need to do a little bit of driving on it, I think, and see if I can get a sort of a handle on it. But yeah, if it's a track I'm just lost on, you're just going around and it's sort of just following the green racing line and not really want to know.
Yeah, hopefully it's going to be an interesting one. I'm certainly going to have to put some practice in and see where the car goes. Yeah. So I think what we'll do is that we'll wrap this up. I'll give but before we do, I'll give the positions of where we are. So with 2 races done, that puts James at the top of the tree on 45 points, scoring 26 in Netherlands and 19 for second place now. Tumshie, that puts you in second place, sir. There you go. With your 18 points and 25 from last time, you're only 2 points behind James. So you guys,
2 points behind.
So it's the 2 fastest laps that I've got in the first 2 races
and the 2 fastest laps make the difference. So even though I said before, as there's only a point, is it worth the risk? It clearly is making an effect now. Then we jump down to the third and fourth things, and that's Jacko on 27 with 12 and 15 points, and that puts me on 22. So I'm 5 points behind Jacko. So I've got to do something to try and close that gap. I think my hopes for the season is top 3. I think beating Jacko. I think I'm going to struggle to get many first places or podiums in the car, so that's my excuses. Then we go to Dave, man in the menus, 16, having a battle with Mikey Monsoon 94, who's on 15 points, but he didn't race this time, so he scored his 0 there. So there's still a battle there. Then we go down to Fuzzy, and Fuzzy will be disappointed with his 2 races, 4 points and 8 points. So I'm sure he's going to go away and have a word with himself. Then we got Adam in 8th place in the McLaren with his 8 points from the last race, but couldn't race this time, so he scored 0. Brian is also on 8 points, with a 2 points and 6 points. So good on Brian. And Sweden's still in the learning phase. Didn't manage to score any points this, but I think an improvement on opposition last time, or at least not last, which was her goal. So that's how the championship is lining up, and that's it. We move on, pack everything away, and jump over to sunny Mexico City. Well, let's hope it's sunny.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. There you go.
Good job, EA.
All right, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. And thanks to Tumshie. Congratulations once more, and thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Yeah,
see you next time, guys.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Play ball.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.